Greetings, fellow visitors. This is Upgrade Terminal, a Star of Providence fan cast. I'm Malachi.
And I'm Nick. Welcome back to the facility.
Hello, Nick.
Hello.
We've finally made it back into this digital room together, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, this is about the time of year where it gets a bit complicated for you to be able to manage to do that, but we're here.
Well, let's start off. I would love to hear about something nice that's happened to you this week.
I actually have two things this week.
Oh, give me as many as you want.
I'll give you two. The first thing is that you know our guest Ruben. We're starting to hang out more often. Just like every week. That's pretty cool. But one of the things that I really like is that he's been sharing music with me. Like he's been giving me like, yo, I heard the other day you were listening to music that's kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an album for some stuff. Maybe you'd like that. And
Oh, cool.
that seems like a small thing, but to me, the fact that he's giving me music recommendations and like being like, yo, I think you'd actually like this stuff that you may not know about. That's really nice. That's really neat. I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know. It just also makes it so that when I listen to that music, I think of my friend. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, my friend is the reason why I'm enjoying this, and that's even better. And the other nice thing that happened this week is that, as far as I know, out of nowhere, out of the blue, there was the demo was released for Rift of the Necrodancer,
Mm.
and I'm like, totally surprised. Like, what? Oh, okay, gotta play it now, I guess. And I've played it. It's very polished. Like the game feels so good to play.
Oh,
You
good.
know, it's and it's a very narrow demo. Like there's like 3 songs,
Mm-hmm.
and all you can do is just play them and get a good score. But it gets me excited. I'm like thinking this is just like one piece of some out of something that could be an incredible game, and I love it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also terrified because sometimes with games like these, you see a little glimpse, and then you can immediately imagine, oh God, where is this going to go? What are they going to ask me to do later on?
Yeah. Do you know all three of those songs by heart by now?
Not yet. I haven't like okay. For
Wait, for
context,
yeah. For listeners that don't know, Nick is a huge Crypt of the Necrodancer fan, and so he has been greatly looking forward to this next release in the series.
Crypt of the Necrodancer is one of the very few games in which I have more hours in than Star of Providence.
Oh,
Over 2,000 hours in Crypt of the Necrodancer.
oh wow.
There was a there were definitely streaks of months where I was obsessed with this game and I would play it constantly
Mm-hmm.
for very many reasons. And so I might have like 2,000 hours of the game. I probably also have hundreds more of just I paid for all of the soundtracks and downloading them
Mm-hmm.
to my phone and just listen to them again and again and again.
I'm glad the demo was released.
Hmm.
What? So, how does it compare to Crypt of the Necrodancer as far as like difficulty? Do you think it's kind of on the same level or harder?
It's a different kind of difficulty because,
Mm,
in a sense, the difficulty of Crypt of the Necrodancer is that you have to make all of these decisions of a roguelike, but the game dictates the pace of that. It dictates you need to make a decision now,
hmm.
now, 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 now.
Yeah.
But the tricky thing is like, well, you have all of these loadouts, you have these weapons, you have these spells, you have these enemies, you have these rooms, these layouts. Rift of the Necrodancer, by contrast, is a pure rhythm game, like a traditional rhythm game. Like
Okay.
there's
So is
no
it more like
real
Guitar Hero?
kind of like that, yes, except that instead of just having like regular like notes or like inputs, they're replaced by monsters, and some of the monsters are just press on this speed and you'll defeat it, but some of them have different patterns. Like some
Hmm.
monsters you'll need to tap twice. Some monsters will you need to tap twice, but they'll move to different lanes as you hit them. Or some will stop at a certain point and then instantly jump forward, and then you need to counter them on the right beat. So it
Hmm.
becomes a matter of like reading the chart and knowing that all of these monsters secretly mean you have to do these complications or these patterns.
Okay, that sounds very
and that
difficult.
and that's a different kind of challenge. It's less about being able to quickly analyze the state of the game and make a decision. It's more like, no, you just need to hit these inputs here, but
Hmm.
also the monsters kind of can obfuscate exactly what the pattern you need to do is. And so you need to,
Oh,
in your
okay.
head, keep in mind, like, that's what that means, that's what that means. And in your head, be able to picture everything that you'll need to do ahead of time.
Huh. Okay, the most important question I have for you now is when you play this game, do you dance along to the music?
I'm usually just focusing very hard on trying to hit all the buttons.
Awesome. I think I'm probably going to want to try that. It sounds fun.
Please do, but you be warned that if you're not good at rhythm games, this won't be a walk in the park. That's enough about me. What's something nice that happened to you this week?
Well, something nice that happened to me is I went out to our garden, and a garden's kind of a generous term to describe it. We don't have very much growing there, and things that have been growing there in the past have died quite frequently. But we had a new plant growing there, one that we
Mm.
didn't plant, but one that is edible, and it was mint. There's mint just randomly growing in our garden. It was such a nice surprise. So I've been going out from time to time and picking a few sprigs of mint and adding them to whatever beverage I happen to be enjoying at the time. And that's been just a delight to have this mint growing. I don't know who planted it there, uh, but I'm grateful it's growing there. So yeah, I've had a
Hmm.
very minty week.
Well, I'm glad. Have you been? Are you planning on like growing mint, like actually trying to grow more and keep it going?
I don't think I've ever had mint in my yard or garden before, but now that I have, like, I really appreciate having it. And so yeah, I think I'm going to keep this mint train rolling. And if we can't keep this one alive, then maybe we'll plant some more next year.
Gardening's hard though. It's serious work if you want to keep various things growing.
It is, and that's why I'm so grateful to this mint who decided to grow in our garden unprompted, and I didn't even have to do anything. Nick, June 7th, Star of Providence's original release date has come and gone, and something indeed did happen.
A trailer.
A trailer was released, and calling it a trailer is not inaccurate, but it's kind of generous because it's 37 seconds long.
A teaser, perhaps?
Yes, I mean, to me, like, okay, so it's 37 seconds, but it's 37 seconds packed full of a lot of juicy footage, a lot of things that I had never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I've rewatched it many times, and my mind has been racing with the potential implications and possibilities of what we're seeing in the trailer. And as many people have noted on the server and on YouTube, the music in the trailer absolutely slaps. Another
Mm-hmm.
banger from Garoslaw, which I'm not surprised. So yeah, good job, Garoslaw, on that music. Uh, we hope you release the actual track someday. The masses hunger.
The man is incapable of putting out anything but bangers.
Yes, I agree. But Nick, I mentioned to you that I had some speculation on what is going on, and you actually said you would want to hear some of that speculation. Now, as a beta tester, you are not as free to speculate.
I don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to because there are a lot of things you know about. So uh, I'm going to speculate a little bit, and Nick is going to.
Quietly listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the first things that really stuck out to me in the trailer is we see the rising souls that suggest the scene at the end of the game as it is now,
Mm-hmm.
but it's from a different perspective. It's a new, almost, it looks almost like a cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that is very interesting to me because that suggests maybe a new telling of that part of the story, or we're seeing it from another perspective.
Hmm.
Something else that sticks out is Machine
Mm-hmm.
opening its eyes or eye, as it were. I don't know if that's the same machine. Logic would suggest that it is, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but it also kind of looks like a different one because the like black obelisk that it's encased in looks different. It's in a different location and it's angled rather than straight.
You
So
mean the monolith it's encased in? It's a literal monolith.
yes, yes. So I'm very curious about. I don't know what that suggests. To me, I think most likely it's probably the OG machine didn't really die, and it's once again encased in that monolith obelisk thing to recover, as it was
Hmm.
the first time. But um, then Renegade, we see a
Hmm.
clip of Renegade in some sort of cutscene. Renegade extending their arm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this just shows we're going to get more of Renegade's story, which Renegade is one of the more fascinating members of the council because, I mean, they're all pretty fascinating, so I don't need to pick favorites here. But what's interesting
But you
about
have.
Renegade, well, yeah, I like Renegade. What's fascinating to me about Renegade is he's kind of the weak link in the council. He turned against the council, and that's why, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why he gives the player one of the runes to get deeper in the facility.
One of the seals.
Yes, one of the seals. Thank you.
I mean, he still makes you fight for it. He doesn't just give it to you for free.
He wants to make sure you're worthy. It's understandable, right? He doesn't want to just give that away to like AB. You know,
Damn.
he's going to give it to somebody who he feels like can get further into the facility and do what he hopes they do, which
Mm-hmm.
is probably shut down the things that are going on there.
Hmm.
But then the craziest part of this 37-second trailer is we see Noel against a backdrop of a river of ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
This river of souls. And what direction is Noel flying in? That's right. Noel is flying against the current of this river of ghosts. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, is Noel coming back from the dead for some sort of second chance? This is lore, not with a capital L, with a capital L, capital O, capital R, capital E, guys. This is, yeah, I that's what it seems to suggest to me, that the tragic ending that we saw at the end of Star of Providence was not the end. And Noel is going to get some sort of resurrection, second chance. I don't know. You tell me, Nick. But don't.
Okay, so I need to preface this with a very important qualifier: is that
Uh
yes, I
huh.
am a beta tester, and I do get to see some things ahead of time. All the same, Pure and Alex do not just give us the lore on a silver platter.
Sure.
So we don't. So we beta testers don't necessarily actually know what exactly is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So we still end up doing a lot of speculation of our own because we do have more pieces of the puzzle available to us.
Mm-hmm.
There's certainly a few things we have seen that are interesting, but we don't have the conclusions or the answers like right there in front of us.
Sure.
But what I'm hearing is that you think that the
Mm-hmm.
trailer is trying to subtly indicate not necessarily a happy ending, but a chance at redemption, a chance of undoing something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, and I think like, I mean, we've praised the visuals in this game many times over.
Hmm.
Here, I love the visual of Noel flying against that river of ghosts. I mean, that's very intentional. right? It's
Mm-hmm.
very intentional that all the ghosts are going one way and Null is going the other. And
Mm-hmm.
so, because of that intentionality, I know that that's trying to tell us something in the game itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, Nick. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I feel like Null's story did not end. And that makes me really, really excited.
So what you're also saying is that you believe that the it's like there is some mechanism, some method by which you could revive, bring back, in some way reconstitute someone who's dead, one of the many souls that linger.
Yeah, yeah. I think that there is something is going to happen and that Null did not die. So when the game
I mean,
releases,
or maybe
mhm.
Null did die. It's just like that
Oh yeah,
death
yeah,
is
yeah.
not the true end of it.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, because I think the lore hints at souls being transmuted into the ships themselves, into other objects a lot already. So to me, find it very plausible that that could happen again. And Noel is going to have some sort of second shot. And I have a lot of faith in the developers as storytellers at this point, and I'm just really excited to go on the roller coaster that the roller coaster of lore that the update is going to be. So yeah, that 37 seconds definitely got my mouth watering.
Hmm. All right. I will say though, by the way,
Hmm.
uh, the cutscenes tremendously gorgeous, and the cutscenes themselves is something that I hadn't seen before. Like that's also new
Hmm.
to me.
Yeah, I didn't point that out, but yeah, the trailer itself seems to suggest that there's going to be full on cutscenes in the game. And do any exist in the game as it is now? I don't think so, right? There's
I
no
mean,
there's no
you
cutscenes. Oh, there's a couple. There's a
yeah,
couple.
there's a couple, but they're all kind of in game.
Hmm.
Like there's no like cutscenes in which the art style or the perspective dramatically shifts and you're like seeing something totally different,
Hmm.
which is what this trailer has.
Yeah.
Here they're all in game, like rather the cutscenes that the game already has are all in game. These cutscenes are something else.
I think the only one that you could truly call a cutscene in the way you defined it, which I agree with, is the beginning of the game, actually.
And also, so the start of the game when, but also, no, yeah, no, you're right, that would be pretty much the only one.
Because I'm talking about where you see the
No, wait,
facility
no,
and the
no, I
explosion.
remember there is the one at the very end where,
Oh, D13 flying down
yeah,
next to Noel's broken little body.
yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah. Okay, so there are two. There are
Mhm.
two in the current game, but obviously this trailer shows us there's going to be a lot more than that.
If
Because,
I hope
yeah.
that they are in game, because again, as far as beta testers are concerned, we have yet to see these at all.
Well, there's a lot of stuff we didn't mention, like a bunch of like robed guys with glowing, like mages, lots of mages. The glowing moon that seems to have monolith floating up on it or something, and yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming.
Hmm.
So yeah, that is my speculation, and
Hmm.
I hope any listeners let me know your own speculation. I'd be very eager to hear it.
I know for a fact some of the stuff that's going to be in there, and that stuff's going to be fascinating to hear your take on it.
I cannot wait for that day. So the trailer also lets us know that the update will be releasing in February of 2025,
Hmm.
which is a long time from now.
It's almost like 8 months.
Yeah. But it's nice to have a date on it,
At long last.
Really, like now we actually have a date to look forward to rather than just hoping we get a date.
Hmm.
So I think looking forward to the future of Star of Providence, I think the future is bright. And I think that we're both eagerly anticipating to see how that future unfolds.
Well, for one thing, I hope to bring back the sprint tournaments.
Yes, yes. And I think that's something you've been talking about doing once, kind of once the update releases, right?
Once the update releases and the we're past the first like series of patches to fix the inevitable problems that are going to surface when it is like that's just going to happen eventually. It's not eventually, inevitably, you
Hmm.
know.
Yep.
Like obviously I don't want to have races on a what would be considered a very buggy release of the game, or like one that's constantly changing like that.
Hmm. That's a good point. I hadn't considered that. Yeah, you kind of got to wait until all the
It's
wrinkles are
stable.
smoothed out. Yeah.
Plus it gives everyone a chance to practice with all of the new stuff.
Yeah.
Although I fundamentally it's still going to be the same game.
Yeah. It's just going to be a few more different weapon flavors and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited about more players. I'm excited about Sprint. Hopefully, there will be more community events that will
Hmm.
be born out of the release of the update.
I hope so too, because we like this is the thing I mentioned before we started recording. I want more community events to be
Hmm.
organized by people. I want part of the reason why it's so exciting when a trailer like this comes out is not just because you get to see a new update, but it's because you get to share the moment with the community. You all get to be excited and thrilled
Hmm.
together at the same time and talk about it.
Yeah.
It's that sense of community that really strengthens or enhances those moments, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like we I want there to be more events, community organized events that tap into that tap into like this is an exciting and cool thing.
Okay. I hear you, and I will absolutely do another poetry contest. I will answer the call.
I appreciate that you will do that. I am skeptical as to the attendance.
Yeah, I learned my lesson. I don't think I'm going to do that again.
Whatever the community decides to do, I hope they decide to do something.
Hmm. I agree. One thing I think we'll see in the future too. I mean, we know about the big mode motos, the figurines. There's going to be a Star Province, one of those. But I think it's safe to assume that we will see some more merch for the game.
Hmm.
I think this just because I'm optimistic by nature, but also the players are pretty ravenous for it, as was revealed on the server this week when everyone started talking about merch again. Everyone's like, "What? There were stickers, there were shirts, there were
Well, yeah,
posters."
you had to be around back then. That's the problem.
Yeah, so I think that we will see that in the future, and that's exciting to contemplate as well for people that like merch. But the other thing that we need to talk about, Nick, is our plans for the podcast. So, with 8 months remaining until the update, this podcast was originally born out of a desire for you and I to be building something, working on something within the community, to kind of keeping us busy while we waited for the update.
Mm-hmm.
And it has succeeded in doing that
Mm-hmm.
up to this point. It's also been an intensive process.
Mm-hmm.
And the announcement for the new update comes at a good time because now that we have the date, we
Mm-hmm.
can more clearly lay out our plans for this podcast. And I think it's about time for us to take a little break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we agreed on that months ago.
Yes. Well, yeah,
Okay.
you know, but the audience doesn't know.
Okay. To sort of lay it out a bit more, sort of, transparently.
Hmm.
Malika and I have decided that we are going to be taking a extended break from making the podcast. And what that means is that this episode, the one you're listening to right now, will be the second to last, the penultimate episode of what we are now calling season 1 of Upgrade Terminal.
Hmm.
And we will return with Upgrade Terminal with season 2 next year.
Hmm.
We don't know exactly when next year. At some point next year, we will resume making Upgrade Terminal.
We're taking a page from Team D13's playbook, and we're not going to give you a specific date when the
Because
podcast will
that's
resume.
the smart thing to do.
Yes. But, Nick and I have a lot of plans for the podcast in the future. And yeah, we've already been thinking about season 2 and what we want to do. But those plans heavily incorporate the update and things that will stem from the arrival of the update. So now's as good a time as any. Step away for a little bit and take a break.
So to be clear, this episode is the next to last, and the next episode will be the finale of season 1 of Upgrade Terminal. Two
Hmm.
things about it.
There will be fireworks.
We do have something a little bit special in mind. We know it's the finale, so we'll make it count. But secondly, it is possible that it may take us some time for us to make that episode happen.
Hmm.
So please do not be alarmed or worried the if it doesn't come at the when it would usually arrive. It may take some time for all of the stars to align there.
So that is where we find ourselves. Thanks again, listeners, and stay tuned for our final episode of this season. And we'll see you on the Discord server.
Hmm. Indeed, we will.
Thanks so much for listening to our Star of Providence fancast. Big thanks, as always, to Garoslaw for allowing us to use his music and sound effects.
And be sure to check out all of the Star of Providence soundtracks on his Bandcamp, the base game soundtrack, the Relics of the Past soundtrack, and the 5th Anniversary Edition soundtrack. And good timing too, because Garo has actually finally properly updated all of those things, so that they all have the proper Star of Providence name, and also include the trailer music, because people have been asking for it so much, and he has finally delivered.
Yes, and I'm glad that finally happened, because when we started the podcast, you would drag him almost every episode for not updating those.
It's done now.
Yes. If you have any comments or suggestions for the show, you can reach out to us on our Discord server. We'll post a server link in the show notes.
And I need to remind you, just because the show is taking a break doesn't mean we won't be there. We're happy to talk to anyone about anything or discuss some episode ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that Discord server, you will find fellow pilots to talk with and discuss the show. Thanks for listening. We'll hope you'll join us next time.
This is what you came for, isn't it?
So be it.